Hey y'all, hey friends, hey fools. So I wanted to come on here and follow up with what I've been working with the last little while. Um, just alchemy, working with my anger, and almost in a way like really wanting to be done already because yeah, it's just been just one of those rides, And yeah, feeling like resistance to like the residual layers of this, but also willing to work with it and show up and be with it and allow it. And so, yeah, I don't know what else to do with it really, except for surrender and breathe through it and love me through it and allow it to be and focus my feelings, my intent, and my energy, redirect that. But yeah, just it's a different experience, definitely, with not repressing it, suppressing it, and repressing myself, and like being able to express it or direct it and channel it or create with it in different ways, and um, seeing where like the old patterns come up of like the passive aggressiveness and the defensiveness and the resentment, like the resentment and the passive aggressive and the depression. Yeah, the depression of it. Like turning it on myself sometimes because I don't know what else to do with it and not wanting to like dump it on anyone, but really like wanting to express it and wanting it to be known and wanting to be heard, you know? But yeah, just not sure sometimes like how how to express that, like in a way that's healthy sometimes, like, and true and authentic. And so yeah, it's just been something great to play with and work with and get to know and transmute. Yeah, alchemize. So I was still working with Badger, Badger medicine, Badger, and knowing that all resources, yeah, to make use of all resources, to honor all resources, and to go back to the roots and the rootedness, you know. And so I remember, yeah, that my dreams always hold keys for me and always hold insights and messages. And so just going back and looking at, my dreams and yeah, basically what I've been working with the last month or so is um, anger, my anger towards others, my feelings of anger, my feelings of anger towards others that don't see what I feel like they should see. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One of it is because I fear for their well-being and I care for their well-being, and I really want them to be able to see what they need to see, but like I don't really know what they need to see is the thing. But I do know that like it's a wake-up call, and I just don't even know, like, yeah, what it's gonna take, or if they will wake at all. And so just doing my best, going through the stages of grief. Part of that is the anger and the denial and the shock and the rage that I feel about this, and just the resistance to what's happening and to where things are going, and or where they appear to be going. And so it's like a lot of stupidity and a lot of idiocy that I'm really angry about. And that's like just the ignorance and the arrogance and the vanity and the pride and the ego and the too full to be empty to receive, and trying to appear wise or act wise so as not to be seen as a fool, but actually playing the fool, you know? And so, yeah, just angry at those things, like, because it's like, yeah, the mockery and the harm that it's causing, and the harm that potentially will be if we don't wake up and see what we need to see and see through the BS and the lies and the exploitation. And so that's like the hardest part, really. And the hardest part too is it's not being angry with, like, man, just the average Joe on the street. I'm not really angry at them because really, I mean, we've had a lot to contend with, and there has been a lot of trickery and fuckery and sabotage on all levels. And so what my frustration mainly is about is my frustration with my elders, with my mentors, with my teachers, with those that have taught me, with those that I have seen as examples, as role models, as wise, as fair, as good human beings, as open-minded, as spiritually minded, as open-minded, yeah, more open-minded, more accepting, and all of that. People who have taught me by example, so I feel like they should know. They should know better. And so just trying to make peace with that. And like on one end of the spectrum, like I totally know that they're fine, and they're fine right where they are, and all of us are. We all are. We're right where we're meant to be, like learning what we're meant to learn and playing the parts we're meant to play and all of that. And so like on one side, I know it's perfectly imperfect and perfect in every way. But then the other side of me, I just the idealist side, and the side that wants it to be ideal, I guess, yeah, and just neat and fine. Yeah, it's just having a really hard time with it. And so, yeah, really knew this might be like one of the hardest parts for me too, like to kind of work with, be with, allow, and accept. And so, and it really is, like, because I've always had tremendous respect, and I still do, I really do, for my elders and for my teachers. But especially, like, there's a few close people to me, and I really, really wish, yeah, and it's like a personal thing, and it stems from a personal wound. And so I'm aware of that too, like from observing that and working with that and playing with that and seeing into it. I realized some things after asking myself some questions and giving myself a break too about it, allowing it to be what it is, all it is, and just like watching and being curious about things when they pop up in my stories and in my inner world, in my head, you know. And so, yeah, just because there's just a few things coming up, you know, as far as that goes. And I'll get more into that. I'll get more into that soon. But Yeah, there was a dream that I had that I talked about last time about like it being in transition, and like we're having an opportunity to move, but there are certain steps and like an order and a sequence that kind of needs to be followed before before like the whole move can take place. And so like it's like a step-by-step thing, and so we can't skip certain steps and whatever, even though I want to be done with this. Like it's not quite time, it's not done with me. So I'm so willing to show up and work with it and to be with it and to trust the process and to allow like it to be all it needs to be for me. Because yeah, one of the things in my dream from March 1st was, yeah, like this is super important aspect, and like lots of little pieces and lots of little fragments that need to be integrated or get to be integrated. And it's like, yeah, allow that anger and claim that anger and own that anger. Don't be so easy to accept false peace or to mediate like and go against myself, you know. And so that's been tricky in a lot of ways. And so like I have seen a lot of those archetypes come up that relate, and they relate, so can participate, you know, in this grand story. So, and it is personal and it is collective, and I can work with both. But yeah, I'm willing. And so this last little page here, the feeling that my anger and my guardian, my protector, my no-nonce, fuck the BS aspect really is there to help guide me and help me set clearer boundaries, and she is legit and right, and I call on her and I thank her for helping me to see that it is right to say no. And walk away sometimes rather than negotiate my power away for the sake of false peace or mediation, just to save face or smooth it all over and pretend it's okay, because it's not okay. Yeah, even though it is okay, it's not okay. Yeah, and that's okay for it to not be okay. So, because it wasn't okay, and I'm done rolling over to be the nice girl all the time. And I'll draw from this strength to protect what is mine, my energy and my personal power, my integrity and my right to be sovereign, whole, wellful, and free. My goodness, what intense feelings this aspect really wants to be acknowledged, included, and seen. And I know there's a lot more to this dream, and I did feel irritated or disappointed with Kelly in the dream, like a little hostility under the seams, and I wonder sometimes why I have such high ideals and expectations for my teachers, mentors, and elders. Like I feel they should be exemplary in their actions and ways of operating with more integrity. But they are, and we all are human beings, and we are all perfectly imperfect, however we be, and that's why discernment, responsibility, and accountability is key now more than ever. Trust in my own authority. Don't look to others to show me the way or be looking outside of who I truly need, and let go of blame and shame. We're human beings. We all make mistakes. We all have our blind spots and struggles to claim, work with, look into, and grow through. Amen. And so, yeah, that was how I ended that little that little entry on that dream. And so it was like, yeah, I really did the last few days, and today actually got some more insights about like some of those things. And I was like, damn it, man, why do you guys have to be human? Why can't you just fit into my pedestal expectations and my pedestal perfections, you know, to my ideals? And that was kind of funny because, like, yeah, that's definitely what it's about. Like, why can't you be who I want you to be, or who I need you to be, or who I think you should be? Like that false image and that need. that need for them to be right, like, because I want to follow what's right, but it's like that's outside of me. And it's kind of funny, like, where I really at first I thought it was like about me being seen as right, but I really wanted them to be right, because I mean, even though they still are, they're all right. Yeah, I wanted them to fit into my version of right, into my right sight, into my, ideal light. And that's just a false image that I was holding on to, and a false image that doesn't honor fullness, and it doesn't allow fullness that they are. And so, like, yeah, one part of me knew that, but like I needed to see it in a different light, and I got to see that in a different light. And yeah, there was something about that I when I was actually in the shower earlier, and that sometimes it's so funny, like how, like, doing something like that simple can, like, all of a sudden bring the aha moments. Just really funny. Just go wash it all off, wash it all away. That's when there's new space. So, kind of funny, like, in certain ways. And so, like, yeah, I just been feeling really grindy and really fiery. Like, I want to spit fire, and I've been feeling that impatience and that disappointment. Yeah, and yeah, the impatience for sure. Like, come on already! Pick it up, goddammit! Get it already! And yeah, that's just part of what's going on with the astrology. And I think Mars is in retrograde, so that's causing some friction. And like, I know we're all feeling it in certain ways, like we're really triggered in a lot of ways. So I'm not alone in this for sure, even though it is personal. Yeah. And so, yeah, I just figured what I really get to choose for me is like confession, and just like lay it all out on the table and just uncensor myself, and just like, if I need to make a video of me screaming and spitting, then that's what I'm gonna do, because that's what wants to be expressed, But of course, like, I'm not gonna direct it at anyone in particular personally, like, so please don't take this personally. If I've been angry with you, it's really a projection. I've been angry with myself. And so, yeah, please don't take it personally, and please forgive me for any anger directed towards you. If you're watching, and I love you, and yeah, you're in relationship with me, please know that, like, I thank you and I praise you and I bless you for always, and I love you and I thank you for being that reflection for me to see what I needed to see about me. And so, thank you. Please don't take it personally, because I love you always. And so confession, sin, negrito, the blackening. Confess and share my stories and my experience. Authentic, vulnerable, unchained, untied. Tell it like it is, with love for love, through love, in love. However that is, for love. So anger, disappointments, and bafflement, frustration, hostility, and abandonment. Blind, deaf, and dumb, boxed in, imprisoned, locked in fear and opposition. Victim, tyrant, martyr, savior, judge. All programming. Apocalypsis. Heartbreak and heartache. Re-entrainment, reclamation, wholeness, fullness, reconciliation. Willingness, forgiveness, reception. Union, coherence, remembrance. Faith, grace, mercy, compassion, peace, love, magic, joy, innocence, ease, lightness, humor, and playfulness. Magic, faith, grace, and presence. So those are just good reminders for me, like allowing all of it to be, allowing it to be full and free. And so, like, with all of the anger and the disappointment, there's still room for joy and playfulness too. And yeah, for heartache and for heartbreak and for opening the heart. So, alchemy. And so this is what my heart was telling me. Some things get to be confronted. Some things get to be looked at and brought to attention. Some things need to be expressed. Some things need to be addressed. Some things need attention. Some things need acknowledgement. Some things get to be expressed to let the soul be at rest. Allow the message to be sent and allow the messenger and the witness. My words are always for me and thee, she and we. My love is for me to receive for we. Creating my reality. Speak with love, lead with love, be with love, love for love, live in love, be the bridge, be my love, love for me, we, she, thee, and me. All this love for all of me and we, all the love I am, all the love I need to be. And so, yeah, it's like, in certain ways too, I feel maybe other people, other friends, family members, people who know me, love me, care about me, I feel their withdrawal, I feel their hostility, I feel their feelings of abandonment, I feel their disappointment and their expectations, and kind of withholding or disengaging. And maybe they do like me better when I'm a pleaser versus when I'm in my power and when I'm being authentic. And that's like a little disappointing for me, but that's okay too, because it's a good test of loyalty for me to see if I will be loyal to me instead of going along with the programs to receive validity outside of me and the approval of a group or false belonging in that group, because it's like true belonging that I need for me, and I know I already belong to we, with we. And so yeah, if I need to be alone as all one and alone, that's loyalty to me. I'm not going along with something if it's insulting to my soul and to my truth and to my being. And so like that's just what I get to allow and accept, you know, and that's okay. Like I'll allow that. I am willing. And so yeah, I can let me off the hook, and I'll let everyone else off the hook too. They get to do what they need to do. They get to choose what they need to choose. And like, I'm done with the judgment and the condemnation, but I am very fed up with the programs and the lies and the bullshit, and that's fine. That's okay. I'll give myself permission to still like be averse to that, to feel averse to that. So wow, it seems like a big fertile mess. I can't really believe some of it. Well, that's a character. Oh, what's that character? Oh yeah, Dolores Umbridge in Harry Potter. Oh my god, that's the Karen Toad-like archetype. The people that really believe that this virus is so deadly and extremely dangerous. It's so ironic. And themselves is so dutifully virtuous. I can't even really believe the things I'm hearing and seeing. Not really personally, really, but in my newsfeed, because like I've seen like different things that other people have experienced in certain ways, and it's really, really baffling to me that like there's people that are operating in a certain way where they do think that everyone has to be a one way, like, and it's got to be one way or it's the highway, you know, like, you know, or it's that groupthink mentality that just has never worked for me ever. And that's probably one of the things that I'm really resentful about, because I've already fought this my whole life, like, and now it seems like it's just to the extreme. Like, if it's just like one day I feel like it can't possibly get any more ridiculous, and then it does, and then it's just like, just gotta laugh about it because it's so fucking stupid. you know, like in a lot of ways. And that's how I feel. Like, and I make jokes to myself all the time about stupid is as stupid does, and like, yeah, just adventures in Tardville and like little things like that. But like, and it helps for a little while sometimes. But like, a lot of it is like sometimes humor that bypasses needing to cry, like needing to cry about it. But like, yeah. And so that's just something I get to discern and see into for myself with my inner eye. So, yeah. So I've been sheltered at home for the most part. Haven't really had to go out a lot and haven't really wanted to very much because everyone's doing that and I just don't want to be a part of that. Like, I don't. So it's like, in a lot of ways, it's like self isolation because I choose it in certain ways because I don't want to participate in the hive mind mentality of this is fucking normal because it's not. It's not fucking normal. And it's not for any kind of well being. Like, the programs are not, you know, like experiencing this and going through this and being able to like observe it and allow it and respond to it. Now there's something there like for growth and for learning and everything, if I can allow that and if I welcome that and invite that and can receive that, and I'm willing to do that. But yeah, like not going to just go along with it. Just to go back to whatever perks or carrots on a stick they're supposed to be, you know. Screw that. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, I reject that. Like, you know, I'll say yes to something else. So it's just remembering to like, oh yeah, like I don't need to say yes to that or I don't need to agree with that, but I can say yes to what my soul needs and to what my heart desires and to what my heart's asking me. So, yes to that and yes to all that life wants to give me. And may I have the grace and the courage to receive and to be open to the opportunity, to allowing it, to honoring it. So for the most part, let's see. I don't really know what it's been like outside of what I've known. So a lot of people I've seen with my own eyes are buying into it though, the mask thing, and it is like discouraging. It's very discouraging and heartbreaking to see that people can be played so easily. And I understand like the mechanisms to that and why like we go along with things and why we think it's just easier because we've had like generational conditioning and trauma-based fear, mind control and all of that. So, and if you don't understand that, like, I'm sorry. Like, I will do another video to do my best to share what I know about that, what I can share about that. So I just wonder, are they willingly blind or is it genuine? Can they really not see like that we are being played and deceived? And if they cannot, then what then? Like, yeah, what do I do with that? Like, just wanting them to see and blaming them for not seeing and being silly, you know? Like, I'm really done with that part of it. Like, I'm so done with the blame. Where can I take accountability? What can I choose for me? You know, because that's just played itself out. Like, there's only so much I can do with that, and holding on to that is just burning the inside of me, you know. And so, like, yeah, ready to accept some of it. I just some of me, yeah, wants to know in certain ways what it's about, and maybe that would help me accept it, but maybe it wouldn't, you know. And so I get to let go of the need to understand why they're blind, and how blind are they really, you know, like, yeah, all of that, because I don't really know what they see, but like, actions do speak louder than words sometimes. And so from what I've seen, I don't know. And I also realize that I'm making assumptions about what I've seen as well. And so, like, questions, asking myself questions. But is there a way to talk with these loved ones that I care about and ask them, like, and genuinely ask them to listen and to seek understanding rather than to convince them of anything? Like, what's your experience about this? And so that's what was coming next, was like, that's what I understood. And I think I actually wrote it in my other journal that I just filled up. It was like, okay, so what's your story or your experience? You know, like, yeah, so I realized I was blaming the blind and the complicit, because I'm really angry with those that are just being complicit to fit in or to go along just to make it easier, more so than the people who genuinely are in fear. And like, yeah, so that's just my thing I'm working with here. So, yeah. So it's hard to let go of the aversion and to forgive certain offenses and limitations, because they're rooted in brutality, ignorance, and vanity, and pride, and the one-way street of the ego. Like, it has to be my way, you know? And so I get to look at that too. Like, where am I demanding that it has to be or it needs to be my way, you know? But like, can they have their choice and can I have mine? And can we compromise? Or do we just get to do our own thing in our own ways as one, you know, alone? And so, yeah, that's just what I'm struggling with. And so I'm making peace with idealism, and I'm forgiving the deception and my elders for not knowing. Yeah, like there was like that child that was kind of crying, well, how could you not know? How could you not know about this? Like, almost like wanting to blame them in certain ways, because they should have known, you know? Like, yeah, and so get to work with that too. The wounded child, and that orphan child, and the abandoned child, and the exiled. So I'm making peace with the pedestal expectations and my ideals for my elders, and the need to be seen as right or to see them as right. And anger at the deception, the fraud, and the vanity, and the gullibility, and the cluelessness, and hypocrisy. The hypocrisy really bothers me too, in a lot of ways. And so yeah, thinking earlier, yeah, I was really, really angry with them. You know, it's just, yeah, because of like those things, those scripts that would come up and say, oh my God, what a bunch of idiots. Like, how could you be such an idiot? Like, how could you be so idiotic? How could you be so fucking dumb? How could you be so stupid? Like, because really, like, what it is about is, like, I know they're not. I know they're intelligent. I know they're open-minded. I know we've had experiences together that are, like, not the average, everyday, mundane thing. Like, it's been magical experiences with them. And, like, the reason, like, why I'm having such a hard time with it is because I know they know more than this. Like, they know better. They really do. So, like, if they're aware of, like, extrasensory perception, they're aware of miracles, they're aware of extra, like, other dimensions, they're aware of, like, spirit and medicine, they're aware of near-death experiences and what life after death, and God and connections, and like the full light spectrum and all of this. So how could they be so programmed and boxed in? Or why did they put themselves back in a box or back in a mind prison? And that's like what I'm having a hard time reconciling in those ways of how could you be so programmed but so brilliant in a lot of ways. And that like just doesn't make sense to me. Like, come on, like, you know about holistic healing, you know about the body's ability to heal, you know about the plants, you know about the elements, you know about our magic and our connection and the power of intent. You know, like that's so boggles. And just like, yeah, that's why I just been so like frustrated. Like, come on now, come on now. Like, take yourself out of the box. And so kind of seeing them like, yeah, with that a little bit of hostility, because like, yeah, and that's the victim choosing to blame the villain, because, and I know that's giving my power away in certain ways. Oh, little friend, hi friend, come here buddy, come sit with me. Hi baby. A little friend Abby. Hey, Abby's. So looking at the stories and observing those stories and seeing that it is a feeling of entitlement, and that's where the feeling of the victim's entitlement stems. And yeah, so that was interesting to see for me. The victim and the miser, martyr, tyrant, savior at play. Funny. I was so angry with the bullshit and the trickery and the ridiculous conformity and the shortcomings of those that won't open to change or changing their minds, or opening to change their minds, considering another story or experience, and not even curious or interested in asking any questions, just in making assumptions. And so I decided to ask some questions. And so, like, yeah, I haven't asked any of my loved ones these questions, but there are questions for me too, and there are questions maybe that will plant seeds, and maybe questions that can be asked. And so, yeah, like, what is your experience? What is your story? What is your dream? Like, what's your experience of this? What's your fears? You know, what are your hopes? What solutions do you see? Like, yeah. And so what's your experience of this? Or what do you perceive about this? What do you believe about this? What do you fear about this? What do you hope for? What do you reject about this? What do you accept about this? What do you desire to protect? And what do you serve? What are you honoring? What are you projecting, reflecting, broadcasting? How do you feel about all of this? And what's your take on it? Where's your awareness around all of this? Where's your focus on this? Your attention, your intention about this? What are you choosing, allowing, inviting? What are you accountable for and receptive to? And so I get to answer, or I get to choose to look at those questions and play with those questions. So, yeah. So some of the archetypes that relate to that were the fraud, the imposter, the saboteur, to distract, conquer, and divide, the addict, the victim, the tyrant, the savior, the perfectionist, idealist, mother superior, the boss, the know-it-all, the fool, narcissus and echo, the trickster and the devil, coyote, death, and the great mother, wisdom and temperance. And again, I wrote, be in the world and not of it. Yeah. And so, yeah, writing about how I've still been angry about the fuckery and the mockery and the hypocrisy and the inner conflicts of separation and condemnation and judgment, defensiveness, denial, and all the stages of grief. But I was willing to allow, and I could also feel the hope and acceptance and transitioning. And I'm willing to attend to all of this for me and transmute and play with it and work with it and surrender it too. So there's also like, yeah, something that I have been playing with for a little while, but I haven't mentioned it in my videos. It's like a Cassandra complex, because I see where we're headed and I have seen certain timelines. And I have seen things about the past that relate to the present and to the future. And it is, like, in a way, feeling helpless and powerless, seeing certain things heading in a certain direction and being powerless to stop it, but knowing what's ahead, and feeling like if I could only wake up a few people, we don't have to go through this. But maybe that's not true. Maybe we do need to go through it. So, yeah. But it's just like not wanting to see it like this, not wanting it to go down this road, because I don't know if it's necessary for our growth. Like, really. Like, we're repeating it again and again and again. And so, like, I'm having a hard time with that, because of the parallels of World War II and the concentration camps, and like this one group that gets scapegoated as an unclean group, and seeing all those things, all that propaganda and all of the scripts being laid out to, you know, for the order followers to follow that into the slaughterhouse, you know, like, so that's pretty disturbing and saddening and heartbreaking to me. Like, and that's just one of the things I've had like the hardest time with, was that, like, if I could wake them up and help them see that this is like, and maybe they won't see until it's too late. I don't know. I was hoping to escape that, you know, but I guess like that's just another fear that I get to make peace with, or I get to confront, or I get to address, or I get to acknowledge, and I get to release or allow to be, and just let it be. And I really, yeah, it's not something I hope we go through, because I hope we don't, but I'm just gonna give it to God and let go and let God, because I can't control what happens. So I just see certain things happening in certain ways, and it just doesn't sit well with me. And I wish, yeah, that other people would open or be willing to understand and see it in clearer ways. And yeah, so a Cassandra complex, having a hard time accepting some of the unfolding and seeming trajectory, or the need to purge and cleanse these things. So yes to the mess, bless the mess, thank you mess, the hot mess is a message, hot mess stay. So the hot mess in me sees the hot mess in you. It's a big hot mess for us, for me and you. So what then if they can't wake up? If they won't open or listen or consider valid questions and ideas, other views and opinions? If they see, you know, all other ways as wrong or invalid, and their script is trust the science, the dogma of the newfound religion, scientism, there is no other schism that could make them so timid and small. How dare you, how dare you, how dare you stop playing so fucking small? Like, live for yourself, think for yourself. They're playing us all, for fuck's sake. They don't care about you at all. They don't care. Stop playing so dumb and playing so small. Stop lying to yourself. Stop denying yourself. Stop ignoring yourself. Stop deluding yourself. Own and claim yourself, or just keep selling yourself and trying to squash everyone else. Tyrant, smother, mother, judge, and martyr. And so, like, yeah, that's what makes me mad too, like, because we've forgotten who we are. We've forgotten the power that we have. Like, angry at them for giving their power away to something that doesn't even hold a flame, you know? And so, yeah, that's part of my idealism, my expectation, and my, like, savior complex, I guess, you know? Like, but, like, really a desire. It's like a wounded child, though, really, really wanting a parent to see what's going on, but them not really taking me seriously. And it's like a child's cries, like, and just not being believed, and not being heard, and not being seen, and not being trusted, not being taken seriously, and whatever else that is about. Like, yeah. So that goes along with, like, don't look outside of me for what I really need, and all of that. So, and let them be, like, let them have their own experience, let them choose for themselves, and just love them. Like, they don't need to be saved. They just, yeah, get to be loved, and they get to have their own ways. So, yeah, that's, like, that's freedom. So, is it awful or awful? And it is a sticky stickler of a situation. And what marks will it leave? And what does it get to be? What wants to be healed? And what is love asking me? What wants to be freed? What's asking for inclusivity? What's asking for permission, for allowance, and for release? And so I got inner gate. Go to the inner gate to integrate. Yeah. If there's a pattern that wants to be seen, and there's a leak, there's a drain. Yeah. So look at the template. Is it a great crack for the light to shine through and in? There is an ornate design to this, and that's the creator's mind at play. So help me, please remember, Creator, please help me remember what is really true. And so that's what I wrote earlier this morning, and then when I was in the shower today, yeah, I did get some insights about, like, yeah, like, why I had such high expectations and ideals, and why I was still so angry with those who I feel like really, like, why don't you get it? Because you get so much, and you've, you know, like, you helped me outside of my own box, you know, like, your light, you know, the light that you've shined for me has helped illuminate things for me and helped me to see. And so, like, yeah, I just didn't understand why, like, in certain ways they couldn't, like, see certain things. And so it was like, oh yeah, like, we all reflect and project that light to each other, and sometimes we all forget, you know, and sometimes, like, we get to remind each other, we get to remind ourselves and each other sometimes when we've forgotten the power of our own light and we've lost our way, you know. But, like, yeah, who's to say they have lost their way? And maybe they're, yeah, again, like, they're exactly where they're supposed to be or where they're meant to be. And so even if I feel like they're not, you know, seeing clearly or seeing what the big picture and all that, maybe they really are, and that's, like, my making assumptions. Like, it's my assumptions on my part, you know. So it is tricky. The ego is really tricky because it goes in circles, chasing its tail and always arguing with itself. And so, like, yeah, it has been tricky, like, working with all this. And then also observing it, like, yeah, being in the world and not of it. So what I did realize, like, some of the realize that I've been wanting to realize, it has been about, like, yeah, idealism and false idols and false worship and projecting, like, what I needed onto another. That I felt like that's what that other had for me, and I didn't have it for myself. And so, like, I did get an insight into that. Like, wow, that was deep, and I'm willing to see more into that. But what I wrote down was false worship and false idols and false virtue, false image, false ideals, expectations, pedestal programs, and resentment. And how could you not know? And so, like, that's like blaming, like, that's giving my power away, like, blaming them for not knowing and, yeah, for not being right, you know. The victim, the martyr, the miser, the tyrant, and the judge, and the savior. So there's a lot in there for me to look at and to free and integrate. And so, like, I, yeah, just had some questions, and, like, it is my wounded aspects speaking, but, and they have, you know, valuable things to say, but they're not always true. Like, sometimes they get to be spun around, or I get to spin around on my head like the hanged man to understand what's being asked of me. And so it's like, why are you not showing up for me and for we and for you and for truth and for what's real? And why aren't you curious? And why aren't you open? You know? And so, like, so I get to ask myself, where do I get to show up more fully for me, with more accountability? What do I get to be accountable for? And yeah, what part of me is asking me to show up, like, and what part of me is afraid to show up, or what part of me is, like, checked out, or, like, maybe go back to the ghost archetype of not showing up, like, and showing up for me in the ways that I need. And what can I be more curious about, and what can I be more open to? What can I be more open to receiving? What can I be more open to allowing? What can I be more open to be with, or just witness? Yeah. And so, yeah. One thing that related was that I opened this mythic astrology book that I had here, and it went to Venus, like, in a fire sign, and I just thought it was interesting because it did correspond to, like, loving the ideal. Like, maybe I was in love with the ideal, and I was in love with the false image of what I wanted them to be for me, or of what I thought they were for me, or what I needed them to be for me. I was too attached to, you know, I was attached to that image of them that I needed them to be for me, and that's why I was so angry, because they didn't fit that image anymore, or it didn't fit for me, you know, it didn't fit for me anymore. So, like, yeah, there's a lot of gold in those things, and I get to look deeper into those things. And, you know, like, part of me has been wanting to finger wag and really explain some things, but I know, like, in some ways it wouldn't really serve me or we to condemn or to judge, you know, in certain ways. But, like, I really do have a need to kind of express, and tell a few things like they are, like it is, and because maybe they're just not aware, you know, and you know, the people that I probably would most, you know, that I would most like them to listen or understand, they probably wouldn't be able to, or open to hearing what I had to say, or Who knows? But maybe they would. Maybe they listen, and I just don't know because I have no idea. I really don't. I really don't know who's watching these and what's being received, and so like it's not my job to say here's the message, get this message. It's just my job to show up and deliver a message, and whatever message, hopefully they'll receive whatever they're meant to receive, and maybe it won't be from me either. So that's all right. And it's like just my way, my ego's way, my wounded child's way of wanting to control things, and yeah, and to secure my place in the scheme of things. So yeah, so it really, I can see like how, in a lot of ways, how it comes around. And I am really angry at myself for all of these things. Not really angry at them, but like in a lot of ways, like it feels like genuine, like because of all the stories at play, and the stories being told and reinforced and all of that. So and I thought this was funny though, Venus. And I'll just read a little bit because it is like, it relates. Okay, seeks relationship which embody the high romance and the drama of an Arthurian tale. Love is perceived as a spiritual force which gives life nobility and meaning, and any suffering or sacrifice is justified to achieve it. There may be a tendency to be more in love with an ideal image than with the reality of the loved one. Loyal and generous, Venus in Loyal is happiest in the role of magnanimous ruler, preferring to be the protector who gives and sometimes finding it difficult to allow loved ones real emotional equality. So dang. Yeah. So I'm not sure if that's like where that is, where Venus is in my chart, but I think it relates right now to what love is asking me to see. So yeah, look at how I seek a relationship which embodies the high romance and drama of an Arthurian tale. Love is perceived as a spiritual force which gives life nobility and meaning, and any suffering or sacrifice is justified to achieve it. There may be a tendency to be more in love with an ideal image than with the reality of the loved one. So yeah, I gotta digest that and look more deeply into that, because yeah, my idealist, she has some things for me, and I get to play with her and integrate these lessons. So yeah, so I'm grateful for that. Even though this has been like the hardest part of this, like almost in a lot of ways, like this part of it, it's been very challenging, like very, very challenging. And so yeah, I get in my way a lot of times because of the ideals that I have, and I know I'm not alone in that either. Because like one of the things is I can see the potential, and I see all of the gifts, and so like when people aren't operating from that, like I'm like, what the shit, you know, like how dare you like play so small, and how dare you like freaking pretend that you don't like have it all, like, you know, like. And so maybe that's a message for me, like how dare you play so small, like. And that's kind of funny because like I'm expecting them to wake up to prevent, you know, mass genocide and everything, and like, and yeah, that was part of my dream that I read last time about yeah, the move, and like going through dirty laundry, sorting through dirty laundry, and picking up things off the floor, and then seeing that dead mouse on the floor, and like, oh, under the rug, like what's swept under the rug, and then look at the skeleton and all of that, and don't pretend like I'm Atlas, because that doesn't serve me and we, like, I don't have to carry everything on my shoulders, and pretend it's like all me, you know, like, because it's not. And so I can let go of the things that are not mine to carry. So I'm willing to do that. And I'm willing to see what I've swept under the rug. And yeah, so I did look at some things around that, and I did know, like, the skeleton, that's like a good symbol for the bones of something. Like, what's the bones of the story telling me here? Like, the bones of the story, and what needs, or what is asking to be buried, or what is asking for new life to be breathed into it. And it reminds me of, like, Loloba. She's an archetype. I read about her in Women Who Dance with the Wolves. And yeah, it's a really good story about, like, resurrection and about breathing life and singing over the bones, singing with that passion in all of your heart to breathe life back into, like, our art and our stories and our lives, you know, singing over the bones and breathing life and bringing back to life that which is our wildness, that which is our essence, that which is real, that which is true. Yeah, all that. So singing over the bones. And so yeah, like, looking at that, and I have this book here. It's a Cloud9 Dreamer's Dictionary. My dad got it for me for a birthday present one year, a Christmas present one year. And there's some cool little things in it. And so I looked at skeleton just for the fun of it. And it says something that's not fully developed, feeling overworked or understaffed, a skeleton crew, or a need to get down to the bare bones of a matter, the basics, the underlying structure, support of a situation, a secret or a scandal, a skeleton in the closet, a loss of substance, power, or energy, a mere skeleton of his former self. Or it may refer to attitudes or anxieties about illness, death, like someone who's just skin and bones, or a situation and relationship that you now realize is long dead. And all of those things actually, in certain funny ways, actually relate to the dream I was having and relate to my situation and to the things that I'm working with and going through and experiencing. So I thought that it was really interesting. And so I also looked up mouse because it was a dead mouse. So timidity and the absence of assertiveness or courage. Are you a man or a mouse? Which may be related to feelings of inadequacy or low self-esteem. It sometimes symbolizes introspection. And so I thought that was kind of funny too, like working with Badger, and yeah. And then seeing mouse come up like that, and then, yeah, introspection, going within, doing some introspection about that. And so, yeah, it's kind of funny. And then mouse in medicine cards is about focusing on the details, attention to the details of something. So, and it's like the opposite of hawk, and so, like, and connected corresponded to hawk. There's the, you know, prey-predator relationship, and so mouse is a good one right now too, as well as, like, working with hawk medicine. And so that it's perfect. It's all perfect for me to receive and to work with and free. And so I'm gonna share one more thing about what I've been working with, and just random little synchronicities. And so I picked up this book in my bathroom the other day, and it's called Archetype of the Apocalypse, and it's by Edward F. Edinger. And my dad also gave this to me too. So it's about apocalypse. So apocalypse. The other term in the title is apocalypse. Apocalypsis is just the Greek word that was used for the book of Revelation, which is also more simply called the apocalypse. In general, the term means revelation, but specifically it refers to the uncovering of what has been hidden. The root is the verb calypto, which means to cover or to hide, and the prefix is the preposition. apo, which means away or from. So apocalypsis means to take the covering away from what has been secret or covered, revealing thereby what had previously been invisible. Yet according to general usage, the term apocalypse has taken on the larger meaning of the coming of deity to assert sovereignty, or the coming of a messiah to judge or to reward or to punish humanity. We have a whole body of literature in antiquity that can be called apocalyptic, and which grew up around the idea of an apocalypse. There are a number of Jewish and Christian apocalypses in the extra-canonical literature, but certainly Apocalypse of John that we are about to study here is the most famous of the genre. But I'm actually not going to go into that right now. But yeah, that's interesting. With the coming of a Messiah or a divine king who will impose his punishments, but then reconstitute things or bring about a new order. More particularly, this literature exhibits 4 chief features: 1, revelation; 2, judgment; 3, destruction or punishment as the consequence of judgment; and then 4, renewal in a new world. What I call the apocalypse archetype underlies all this ancient literature. It is composed of a network of interrelated images, as are all archetypes, making up a complex symbol system. To hint at some of the images that cluster around the archetype, I offer the following chart of interconnections. Its contents are somewhat arbitrary, since it is the nature of an archetypal network that it can extend farther and farther, eventually to encompass the whole collective unconscious. And unless one imposes some sort of limit on the procedure, one will drown in the process. Perhaps this chart can serve nonetheless as a roadmap for our subject matter, or as a general overview for the purpose of orientation. And so there's this little diagram in here, the apocalypse archetype, and it's pretty interesting. Maybe I'll take a picture of it and maybe see if I can put it on a comment in the video. So yeah, maybe that's what I'll do. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Apocalypse and apocalypsis. And so revelations and uncovering that which has been hidden. And yeah, that's definitely the time that we're in right now, is the apocalypse. And so I kind of joke with my husband about that sometimes. Like, I'm glad we're having this apocalypse together. I'm glad you're my apocalypse buddy. Yeah, because it really does help to have a good ally, and a good support system, and yeah, good people on our teams, and so I'm wishing all of that for we. I hope there's someone in your corner, and I hope, that you're choosing loyalty to yourself and to your heart and to your whole being, to your well-being, to what you need, and embracing all you are, and all you need for you, and all you need for your whole being and your well-being and your truth and growth, and your loyalty to yourself. And thanks for listening, and thanks for being here, and thanks for letting me be human, and owning allowing me my glory and my bullshit and everything in between. So thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. I'm sorry. I forgive you. Thank you. Thank you for helping me to see what I wouldn't have been able to see without your beauty and your light, and your light reflecting and projecting back to me. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being that mirror, that light, and that reflection. Thank you. I'm grateful, and I'm humble, and I love you. Thank you. Be well and take good care of yourself. Until next time. Okay. Happy apocalyptic. Take care.